almost 600,000 zloty. This is the annual cost of maintaining just one of the foreigners' integration centres in Łódź, Poland. These figures were revealed thanks to an audit conducted by the Poznan branch of the Polish border defence movement. Over 90% of this amount comes from public funds. There are 4 such centres in Łódź alone, so it is easy to calculate that several million zloty will be spent annually on migrants, on mass migration, quite simply. On a national scale, this will probably amount to hundreds of millions of zloty. Hundreds of millions of zloty that will be taken from the pockets of Polish taxpayers, as Poles will be footing the bill. During this time, 420 people have benefited from the centre's assistance. And this is where the real drama begins, because it is not entirely clear who these people are. The foundation managing the facility claims that it does not have a list of the beneficiaries' countries of origin. It does not have one because it does not have to.
To jest skandal kolejny.
This is yet another scandal. And what kind of foreigners? Probably those foreigners who, I suppose, are illegal immigrants brought from Germany to Poland. This is scandalous. This cannot be, ladies and gentlemen. Because this is just one centre and dozens more are being built across the country. And when the Migration Pact comes into force next year, it will no longer be hundreds but tens of thousands of immigrants who will come for help every year. These costs will, of course, skyrocket, and it will be clear that, as in the West, they will simply be a very serious burden on our system, because in addition to these integration centres for foreigners, there will also be medical care and social benefits. Poles may pay dearly for foreigners who come to us and will not work, but even those who are not afraid to work will cost us. Economists warn that many employers, when given the choice between hiring a Pole and an immigrant, will choose the cheaper option. And again, Poles will lose out. Unfortunately, the cost will run into the billions, because it is not only a matter of living expenses, providing basic conditions, food, but we are also dealing with the cost of so-called lost benefits, which consist in the fact that these workers, often foreigners, employed for lower wages, are less productive. These are economic costs. On top of that, there are social costs. So let's look at how it's going in Western Europe. London. A 49-year-old man was killed and a 45-year-old man and a 14-year-old boy were seriously injured by knife wounds. The perpetrator? An immigrant from Afghanistan.
People are scared because kids on holiday. This is a nightmare. This is on doorstep. Literally like 200 yards from here, probably 100 yards from here, the incident took place. I live behind these shops for 35 years. Mad. I'm scared myself. I swear to God.
Malmö, Sweden. On Friday evening, an 18-year-old woman was brutally raped in the Pilsdams Park. The woman called the police, reporting that she felt she was being followed. A police patrol was immediately dispatched to the scene, but unfortunately, it was too late. The police have a description of the perpetrator, but are not releasing any details. In Italy, foreigners are responsible for 43% of sexual crimes and 60% of robberies, even though they make up only 9% of the population. More than 1/3 of those detained or arrested in 2024 were foreigners. This percentage is almost twice as high in the case of property crimes. And this is a recording from the centre of Warsaw, where even young girls participated in a fight between foreigners. In Bielsko-Biała, a group of Georgians beat up 2 young Poles in a kebab bar. The perpetrators fled, and the kebab bar owner refuses to cooperate with the police. That's how it is in the West, so why should it be any different here? We also have an idea for solving this problem. These centres should be closed immediately, and the money should be allocated to Polish children. Poles consistently oppose mass immigration. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk is aware of this, which is why he consistently reassures and convinces people that Poland will not only not lose out on the Migration Pact, Poland will not implement the Migration Pact in a way that would result in any additional influx of migrants to Poland, but will actually gain from it. Poland will be a beneficiary of the Migration Pact. In fact, the Law and Justice government was one of the few in the European Union to oppose the multicultural policy pushed by Berlin and Brussels as early as 2016, for which Tusk wanted to punish us financially. This would inevitably have consequences. Such are the rules of Europe. He then attacked the Law and Justice government for effectively defending the border, while siding with the illegal immigrants brought in by Putin and Lukashenko, who was storming it. These are poor people looking for their place in the world. And finally, he mocked the referendum organised by Law and Justice on the migration policy, among other things. I solemnly declare this referendum invalid. 10 days after taking power in Poland, Donald Tusk flew to Brussels, where the European Commission unanimously adopted a migration pact It will come into the force in the middle of next year.
On wchodzi w życie, kropka.
It is coming into
Nie ma
force,
innej opcji.
period.
Tak samo
There's
jak
no other
Zieloni
option.
mówili, że go
It's
nie
the
ma.
same
Jest
as with the
taki
Green
Trzaskowski,
Deal.
prawda,
They
w
said it
kampanii
didn't
wyborczej, że
exist.
nie ma zielonego
There is this
ładu, a dzisiaj się okazuje,
Trzaskowski,
tylko
who
jest
said during the election
zakłócony.
campaign
To samo
there
z
is no
paktem
Green
migracyjnym.
Deal.
Tusk
And
mówi,
today
że
it turns out
nikt
that
nie
not only
ogra,
does it
a później
exist,
się
but it has
okazuje,
been
że go
tightened
wsadzają,
up.
ale do
The same with the
polskiego
Migration
zawodnika, albo
Pact. Tusk
traktujemy
says
jako
that no one in the
zawodnika
EU can play
on
him.
jako
And then
podróżek,
he
jako
turns
wasal
out
Niemców,
that they put
nie
him in
może
the
się
last
wychylić,
carriage
bo
or treat him
jest
like a
pełni
coat
od nich
rack because
zależny i
he,
on nie
as a
działa w interesie
footstool,
Polski,
as a
nie działa
vassal
w
of the
takim
Germans,
interesie, żeby
cannot stick
wyrzucić
his
pakt
neck out
migracyjny do
because
kosza,
he is
tylko
completely
działa w
dependent
interesie
on them. No international organisation is able to provide a reliable number of illegal immigrants who have arrived in the European Union since the beginning of the migration crisis in the middle of the last decade. However, it is estimated that there are as many as 5 million people. After the Migration Pact comes into force, each EU country will have to accept up to 30,000 people every year. For Poland, this will cost more than $500,000 zloty a year for the Integration Centre for Foreigners in Łódź. This amount will have to be multiplied many times over.
At around 8:40 a.m., the perpetrator left his home and got into his car. For 35 minutes, he wreaked havoc on pedestrian and bicycle paths, as well as in a supermarket parking lot. After being stopped, he shouted Allahu Akbar. Based on a number of factors, no one denies that he actually shouted Allahu Akbar. There are clear and unambiguous religious references in his case. The 35-year-old attacker is a resident of the peaceful Atlantic island of Oleron. He was previously known to the police for minor offenses, including theft, drunk driving, and drug offenses. Is there a plausible theory that this was a terrorist attack? I wouldn't go that far. It will be up to the National Anti-Terrorism Prosecutor's Office to determine, based on the psychiatric evaluation that took place yesterday, thanks to the police search and analysis of call records. Gas cylinders were found in the suspect's car, which he tried to set on fire. This method of operation is consistent with jihadist instructions. The aim is to cause as many casualties as possible among law enforcement officers. Can you confirm what some media outlets reported this morning, that there is a suspicion of radicalization of this person who rediscovered Islam a month ago? I can confirm that, but now the question remains whether this had an impact on the act and what the perpetrator's motives were. According to French media, a man named Jean made rather vague statements during his arrest. He explained that he was searching for spiritual answers and then discovered Islam. He said that Allah had entrusted him with a mission.
A call for immediate action or the threat of military intervention. The United States President has issued an ultimatum to the Nigerian authorities regarding Islamic terrorists operating in the north of the country who are murdering Christians. The Pentagon is said to be working on a plan for ground attack, possibly involving special forces. The authorities in Abuja strongly reject Washington's accusations and call for dialogue. However, the White House wants real action, which, according to Nigerian Christians, the authorities are essentially failing to take. There were warnings on social media and comments during press conferences. Now, however, Donald Trump has issued an unequivocal statement with a clear and unambiguous ultimatum.
If the Nigerian government continues to allow the killing of Christians, the USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria. We're going to do things to Nigeria that Nigeria is not going to be happy about and may very well go into that now disgraced country, guns a-blazing, to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible, horrible atrocities.
According to the US President, the Department of War is working on the details of a US strike on terrorist bases. This, the President assures us, will be swift, precise, and effective. In Nigeria, comments are extreme. The Christian community openly supports the US President, emphasizing that the authorities in Abuja are doing nothing to protect them or to bring justice to the victims of terrorists.
Being in a country whereby Christians are being killed, Christians are being denied. Okay, look at what happened to the other lady called Deborah some time ago. She was killed as a Christian, and she's a Christian. And up till now, she has not gotten justice. There's no justice, and nothing is being done. You know, so Christians are now being scared to move about. Christians are scared to worship freely. The priests, the lay leaders, I mean, the seminarians and all that. So Things need to be done. It's bad.
Church representatives are not calling for outside intervention, but are asking for justice.
I'm happy that my prayers were answered. And so I am particularly happy that the world has drawn attention of Nigeria to look into this problem that is going on.
The persecutors go unpunished. Fearing retaliation, the government does not respond when a potential clash with Islamists is involved.
All we want is, what do you do with the people that have been killed is our concern. Not denial. Nobody can deny. But most of the people that are being killed, up to today, we are still having the pains. But the issue of what do you do with the people that have killed those that are loved?
The authorities in Abuja are calling on the Americans to engage in dialogue. However, the White House has made it clear that the time for talks is over, and now is the time for action.
If you go to Africa, people respect Donald Trump because when it comes to fight against terrorism, he has never minced word. He was never politically correct about it. He's willing to fight it, and that's all we ask for. Leaders that can be very straightforward in that regard and willing to collaborate with you in that fight. So our areas of agreement far outweigh the disagreement, and we're going to deepen that area of agreement. And by the time we do that, we realize that there's actually no disagreement in existence.
These areas of agreement include the aid Nigeria receives from the US government. The problem is that Donald Trump wants to freeze all funds transferred to the Nigerian authorities until they resolve the issue of the attacks. Considering what is at stake here, it is possible that terrorist militias themselves will want to take advantage of the situation to provoke the Americans into action and cause chaos in the country.